fascista, al pueblo traicionaste. Judas Moreno, dictador y fascista, al pueblo traicionaste. Judas Moreno, dictador y fascista, al pueblo traicionaste. Judas Moreno, dictador y fascista.
In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks. Doing hard time for these WikiLeaks. Trying to bring the truth out, man, it only gets you heat. And then they gag you. You don't get to speak. And when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want the shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people up the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey with my Mickey keeps dying in my kidneys weak. Silence in my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They under the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life, make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need to silence any questioners, you kill the messenger. In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks. Doing hard time for these WikiLeaks. Trying to bring the truth out, man, it only gets you heat. And then they gag you, you don't get to speak. And when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masses of the masses, they want this shit to street. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular, you kill the messenger. Free speech is the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Outside my window, a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets, what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace, like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace, like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 bars, they upset. They ended the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger. You kill the messenger. Democracy dies in the darkness. Darkness.
Feeling cold now, I got the heater on. Feeling sold out, even though I'm keeping strong. But can I hold out when every bit of freedom's gone? They want me rolled out, never to sing freedom song. I wanna see the sky, I wanna feel the rain. But gotta keep away from windows, that's some window pane. It's just a shame, couldn't have planned out all our dreams. Now I scream, cause there's a man in the machine. But the train is off the tracks, and damn, it's losing steam. I wanna call Christine, I haven't seen since 013. I'm missing life like 3 strikes each night. Seems like 3 nights ain't right. Can't fight, space light, hate life. Wanting to be snake-like, shedding off this gray life. In the dark, can't make light. But where I'm headed now is brake lights. Where I'm headed now, they break lights. Counting days like brake lights, feeling weight like brake lights. Had a great life, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Out of place like brake lights, in my face like brake lights. Counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Sit here asking, what have I done? If these strings were cut, I'd see my son. And if I could just fly from this place, then I'd hold you in my love embrace. And if I could just speak to you now, I'd renew my vow and be in the now. Is this me in denial? Wanna remove stress from your brow and pay you back some way, somehow. But it's painted black, can see the way back now. But how's the house and how's your mom? I doubt the way the media portrays me makes you hate me. But to think you see that daily makes me crazy, that just ain't me.
This is without a doubt going to be this generation's Free Mandela movement. Every single generation must fight again the same battles that previous generations have fought.
Brake lights, counting days like brake lights, 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 brake lights.
You've been gone for 6 years, and they've drank blood. Your wings are perishing, haven't seen the sky. The papers left the tourist sneak makes me wanna cry, cheering on the end of you, wanna see you die. Ooh, 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 their evil game is gotta end. You put them to shame, put it on the man. We love you, fellow and a friend. We wanna see you make it through the torture to end. Ooh, 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 ooh,
She's been out yesterday and today, and she asked us mods to fill in, and actually quite a few of us have showed up today, so that's wonderful. Kitty's going to be taking over in a bit, and today we're going to have an open mic, so everyone watching on YouTube, on Periscope, just ask your questions about Julian Assange, about UNT4J, any comments you have. And sorry, I had to mute it. Any comments you have, and we'll answer them as best as we can, especially Kitty. But first of all, back again today, again as our special guest is Meg Sherman, who was on yesterday as well. And yesterday, remember her song from yesterday, which was Dreams of Heaven. And today, the song that you heard just before going live has just been released by UNT4J, also composed and sung by Megan, and I think with help with violin from Alex Taylor. And also Megan did the video, so Megan did everything, and it's just a wonderful video. So we're so pleased to have you on, Megan.
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm feeling a bit more confident than yesterday, because yesterday I kind of suffered at the deep end, so I'm feeling a bit better today.
Oh, you were great yesterday already.
Thanks, that's good.
So this song, it's a bit more heavy, but it's beautiful also, right?
Thanks. Yeah, I felt like Dream of Heaven was quite uplifting. It's got a positive key, and the lyrics are quite dreamy. And this one is a bit more melancholy. It's focusing on the suffering that's happening now and our regret that that's happening. And yeah, it felt like I had to balance the positive one out with one that also you have to give. Yeah, I wanted to. I don't know if I wanted to write it, but it just kind of came out, and that's the way it came out. And yeah, I think it's quite a sad song. Yeah, heavy, like you say.
And the 6 years obviously refers to 6 years in the Ecuadorian embassy.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love your songs. You're doing a whole album of them.
Yeah, we started off with one, moved on to the idea of doing an LP, and we've just been going wild and decided let's do a whole album. So it's going to be a blend of covers and originals, all of them with lyrics relevant to what's happening to Julian. So.
Oh, that'll be great. So you have 3 songs that I know of, right? Which was Dreams of Heaven, and then a cover of Imagine by John Lennon.
Yeah.
And then this song out today. And you were asking yesterday actually for if anyone had any suggestions for cover songs that would be great. And your Imagine version was from Eva Cassidy, who I love. She's a beautiful singer. If anyone wants to look her up on YouTube, the most beautiful voice you can imagine. And she did another song which was called, is it Autumn Leaves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So people were asking you to do that, and you were also suggesting that. So hopefully that comes to pass. We'll see how it goes.
I do have it on my phone. I've just not put it out yet, but I'll do that soon. If that's what people are feeling, I'll do that. Yeah.
Autumn Leaves. Wow. Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. What is the timescale for? It's a difficult question, but what do you think the timescale will be that you'll get the album out?
Well, it's currently in progress. I think if we continue at the rate we're going at now, it should be finished by the end of the month. But between then and it being approved for distribution and released, it will probably be around Christmas. That's assuming we do it at the rate we're doing it now. For obviously things happen that could change, but that's what I think. It will probably be out around Christmas time. So.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. So you talk about getting it approved. What do you mean by that?
Well, I was researching ways to get your music distributed, and quite a lot of them were very expensive and difficult. And I stumbled across a free app called Amuse, where you can apply to have your music distributed, and they're selective. They don't always choose your music, but if it's successful, that's great. And it goes to stores like iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Play, but we're also planning to distribute it on Bandcamp, so people have a choice between whether they want to buy it from iTunes or if they want to buy it from a DIY merchant. It's really your choice. But my thinking was that if we could get it into the internet charts, then maybe more people would listen to the message, and maybe even the markets would see an opportunity in helping Julian, and then that would all create an upward pressure on people who have power to do something about it. So
that's wonderful. And so the commercial, so hopefully you get some compensation. So there's a commercial channels, right? You get, yeah, that'll be fantastic.
It would, yeah. It's the dream.
Yeah. I'll see if there are any comments, trying to check the Twitter and everything. Hi, Megan Bruce, says Stephanie Massilia. Stephanie, who's been tweeting and everything. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie, it's great to get your tweets. Oh, Paul is suggesting Sound of Silence for Julian, which would be Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, that's a wonderful song. It was in the movie Watchmen, wasn't it?
Yes, maybe. I don't know that.
Because
Okay.
that's what came to mind, yeah.
Okay. Atima Smart says, where do we find 6 Years by Meg Sherman? What's her Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is Earth Empress 91.
And if you go on, Artemis, if you go on Unity for J, they're starting to do live tweets, and Megan's handle will show up there on all of the live tweets, so you can get it from there. And also 6 Years is already on Unity for J YouTube, right?
Yeah, it was put on there today, so it should be accessible.
Yeah, wonderful. Monday 1111 agrees with Paul that Sound of Silence is wonderful. Also here, You're the Voice. I don't even know that song. You're the Voice. Do you know that song?
No, that's new to me, but I'm always up for a challenge, so sorry, got a cough. Yeah, as I said, I'm up for a challenge, so I can look that up. Give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah, Monday, if you're on Twitter, you can tweet that also to Megan, and maybe she'll get it. So, I mean, before that, the comments before that are mostly talking about Julian, so not specific to this conversation. Oh, yeah, Paul says You're the Voice would be great. So, oh, okay, so Paul says it's by John Farnham. I don't even know who John Farnham is. I'm sorry, I must be out of the loop.
I'm willing to learn, so yeah, that'll be cool. I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Is it so? It's your songs are going on the commercial channels. Are they also going on? So they're going on YouTube for Unity for J and like Facebook and Periscope. So quite widely available. Is that true?
Yes, I know it's already been uploaded to YouTube. I wasn't sure about the other channels, but that is definitely in the pipeline. And yes, it's going to go to iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Play, and also to Bandcamp, so people have the choice for which one they want to opt for. So there'll be lots of different ways to access it. So yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, your motivation for getting it in the charts is very much about Julian, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just quite a detached and, I suppose, academic way of looking at it, but I just think if we got him in the charts or got an album in the charts which was a fundraiser for him, not only would it bring money into his legal defence, it would also make the markets listen to him, because they're quite calculated and they might see an opportunity in his freedom. So, and if they started acting in a way to support his freedom, then it would be difficult for politicians not to listen to that, because they listen to markets. So
yes.
So I would like to get it into the internet charts. That would be great.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you're talking about helping WikiLeaks Defence Fund as well. That's wonderful.
Sorry?
You're talking about helping WikiLeaks Defence Fund or Julian's Defence Fund?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I always love when I come on here and there's like new art or new music. It's really a wonderful way to spread a social justice movement, really, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Like I was saying yesterday, it's a universal way of communicating. It speaks past cultural and language barriers, and it's very easy. It moves the emotions that everyone has, and it really unites people and gets them behind a cause. So that's what I had in mind.
And you've done a lot of stuff. I mean, I was looking on your Twitter, you've done a lot of stuff also besides the songs as well. You've done artwork, So you had a panel, at least one panel, maybe 3 panels that can be put in front of the embassy, right?
Yeah, it
Did I get
started
that
off
right?
with one. I started off with one. I think the word for it is, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's a triptych. They used to do them back in the old days of religious figures, and I don't know why I chose to do a triptych, but I started off with one, and then I started doing another one. Thought, why not have 3? So,
Yes. So those, because you were talking about yesterday, you do it in acrylics, right?
Yeah, I use acrylic pens.
Cool.
I would recommend acrylic pens because it's very hard to manipulate them with acrylic paint with paintbrushes, but it's very easy to manipulate an acrylic pen and get the result you want. So
Yes. Oh, Jose Rivera's just dropped onto the Discord. So hi, Jose. He's still muted. He's getting together. But yeah, and you've done so you've done articles and you've also done poetry, right?
yeah, I'll start with the articles. I've been writing for about 7 years, and it's been freelance and independent. Anywhere I've been published, I haven't been paid to do it, and I feel like I prefer it that way because you have to toe an editorial line if you're paid, and you have a lot more freedom if you're unpaid, although it'd be nice to be paid. But yeah, I enjoy doing that. I've blogged for different organisations on a local and national and sometimes global level. My most enjoyable role is the one I'm doing currently. It's for an organisation called the People's News. It was started by a group of students on Quora, and I'm applying to be on their editorial team so I can encourage people in the way they encourage me. But yeah, I do a lot of commentary on political affairs and also debunking a lot of the myths that we find in the media. So I try to give a critical perspective on things. And as for the poetry, yes, this is going to sound excessive and obsessive, but I have written over 1,000 poems, and quite a few of them. But yeah, I had a very bad year, and I spent most of that time focusing on writing poetry. Something very bad was happening to me at the time, and it was my way of feeling like I was achieving something despite that bad thing happening. And yeah, quite a few of them are themed around politics and revolution, and a few of them are themed on the cause that WikiLeaks and Julian represents. So yeah.
Yes, in fact, we're going to close with a poem from you, which will be wonderful. But before we do that, we'll just do one more read of the comments, okay? And so let's see. Paul asked, how is Susie, Bruce? Susie's fine. I think her voice is just... she had laryngitis and she lost her voice for about a week. I'm sorry, Susie, if I'm speaking for you too much, but and then on Wednesday she did the state of the movement speech and the WikiBees, and you know it was quite a lot for her voice, I think. So I don't know. So hopefully she should be back next Wednesday, I think. People are starting to ask questions more about WikiLeaks, but so we'll get back to them after that. Let's see. Stephanie asked, I wonder what the rules are about singing and musical performances Julian can hear. Have you ever thought about that, Megan?
The rules regarding... Hello?
Yes.
Right, sorry, I think there's a bit of a delay. Yeah, I understand from Alex's experience that he has been outside and played and he's had his violin seized. I don't know whether that would happen again because there was a lot of press about that at the time and a lot of people were very sympathetic because he was a violinist, very peacefully playing his violin, bringing a lot of happiness to people around him. And the police seized his violin and having received negative press towards the police. I don't know whether they'd do that again, but they could do anything. They often act beyond reason. So I don't know. We're just going to take it as far as we can and do it for as long as we can, and whatever happens, I think.
Yes, that's pretty disgusting. I mean, how long ago was that? Do you know?
It was this year, within the past few months, I think.
Wow. They obviously gave it back, right?
I think he got it back because unless he had to buy a new one because he put his violin down on track for the tracks for the LP. So I hope he got it back.
Yes, yes. Oh, I mean, they're super expensive. It would be ridiculous if he didn't. So, yeah, I mean, there are so many performances out there that, like the vigilists, like Emmy posts that they do lots of musical performances, which that must cheer up Julian no end. So it's a wonderful thing. So I think at least one other person, Paul said, I think he can hear when they play outside his window that he's been banned from looking out of. I mean, it just reinforces this is a really disgusting situation for Julian, and it's sort of an emergency as well, the way the politics is going. So people say I'm muted. I hope I'm not muted. Was that before? I hope I'm good. No, I'm good. I thought I was muted for a minute there. Audio is good now. Okay. Julian did a parody of You're the Voice. There's a video somewhere. Wow.
Was that the I think I might have seen that.
Julian with his mullet. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, that was great. If someone can find that and post that on Twitter, that'd be great. So I think we'll just leave it there, and so that we can get a chance to hear your poem, Megan, if that's all right.
I did mention this in the setup, but I don't know if you heard me. I don't know it by rote, and there's no way of getting it up on my phone whilst I'm in the app. So that might be something we could do at a later date.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Megan. It's wonderful. You can stick around. Of course, you're welcome to stick around.
Cool. I'll stick around as long as my phone battery. No worries.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So as I said before, we're going to have an open mic session today, or an open forum session that Kitty's going to lead. But first of all, Jose's here, so bravely here from Ecuador itself, reporting as a citizen journalist. So would it be possible to hear from you, Jose? Are you there?
Oh, hi there. How are you?
Oh, very good, thank you. How are you?
Fine. I had to put an image so that you would not see a black thing, you know?
Yes, it looks great. Is that in Ecuador?
Yes, it's Cotopaxi volcano.
Oh, nice.
It's near Quito. It's close to Quito, about maybe 100 kilometers.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so what is the news, Jose?
Another shocking, thing by Lenin Moreno. He, that Glass went to the hospital from the jail where he was, right? Yes.
Just for people who are new here, yeah. So talk as if we don't know anything. So Glass is the vice president of the current president of Ecuador, who is Lenin Moreno. And Lenin Moreno has turned on the population of Ecuador, basically, hasn't he? And
yes,
he's put his own vice president in prison, and the vice president, Glass, sorry, what's his first name?
Jorge Glass, George Glass.
Jorge Glass, yes, has gone on a hunger strike, and he was on hunger strike for I think about 18 days. He went to hospital. He was taken to hospital. I think you told me this in private that his wife was tricked into getting.
Yes.
Can you tell us that story?
Okay, you see, the before Glass was in Quito, in a Quito jail, because his wife lives there, his lawyer is there, and they moved Glass to a southern city of Latacunga, south of Quito, to another jail that is really bad, has a lot of problems. And okay, so Glass started a hunger strike, and he didn't want to, he wanted to continue the hunger strike. But what happens is that the governor of that province convinced her to go and talk to her husband, Glass, to accept to be taken to that hospital, the Quito hospital, on the night that he was feeling in critical condition.
Wow.
And he told her that after that Quito hospital, he would be taken back again to the jail where he was before.
Yes.
So that night, Glass' wife talked to her husband, Glass, and she convinced him. And so they took Glass to Quito Hospital. And today I found out that they didn't give him any treatment.
Wow.
No medical treatment. They just gave him an IV with, with feeding.
Yes.
And then, they tricked her. And then yesterday early in the morning, at 1 o'clock in the morning, he was taken back again to the other prison.
The one in the south.
Yes, the one in the south. You see, Lenin was using that media explosion of Glass to do behind that the naming of the Supreme Court judges.
Yes.
So that's the latest. So his wife is depressed, and Glass is back in jail, in the other jail again, the terrible jail.
Wow. So it was done as a diversion, basically.
What was that?
It was done as a diversion.
Yes. Lenin fooled her. You see, the governor that I convinced her to talk to Glass, I just found out that he is the cousin of Lenin's wife.
So, wow. I mean, this sounds like really terrible. It sounds like Glass would die. He's willing to die.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So, we don't know what's going to happen. He's right now under hunger strike, and he is not allowing the doctors to see him anymore.
Wow.
Jose, I understand that there's also other people that are being arrested that were part of Lenin's administration, as well as journalists, etc. Can you talk about them as well? I mean, it's very, very serious that this vice president is willing to, sacrifice his life. But
yes.
There's also a lot of people that Lenin is now targeting.
Yes, he arrested 7 of them, 7 journalists, and another one who is in charge of the government communications office that Correa set up. He learned that they were going to put him in jail, so he left the country.
Wow.
Very dangerous times coming up in Ecuador, it seems.
Yes, yes, very dangerous times. And right now, as you have seen, the protests are increasing little by little.
Now, what is happening with these judges that are all being removed? Are they being persecuted as well, or is it just that they're being removed and he's replacing them with judges that are friendly to him?
Exactly. That's the way it is now. The new Supreme Court judges were handpicked by Lenin Moreno.
So the Constitutional Court is going to be, that Julian's hearing is going to be heard by, is going to be a biased court.
Exactly. Yes, it is. They will be biased. You know, they will have an agenda. You know.
Yeah.
So yes. So there is I was remembering about 4 or 5 days ago that there was a years ago, I think it was in 2002, that the Peruvian embassy in Cuba was invaded by, I think it was around 20 Cubans. I met a doctor that was at that time, and he told me that the conditions there were terrible because the Cuban government cut off the water and all the services. So this is kind of in a certain way related to Assange situation.
Yes. Jose, can you talk about, well, I'm interested in a broader context also, and Cat Mima Elizabeth is also very interested in the trade aspect, like the financial aspect. I sort of got quite familiar with, there was a ISDS, a court proceeding between Ecuador heroically against Chevron for a huge environmental oil spill, right?
Yes.
Pollution.
Yes.
And wasn't that part of the deal for Julian? And the rumors anyway.
Yes, you see okay, here's where Manafort comes into the picture.
Who is Manafort?
Paul Manafort, the one that was the advisor for Trump in the elections.
Yes.
You see, he came secretly to Ecuador, and the meeting was set up by one U.S. man called Santiago Cuesta and a lady named Mbaki. So they are saying that Paul Manafort came with that message at that time.
Was it about a month ago?
Yes, they touched that's what they say. They touched the Chevron case and also Assange's case. So when Pence came out to Ecuador, they already had set it up everything, including they had set up already the sale of all Ecuador's, main main properties, you know, electrical companies, phone companies, things like that.
Privatization.
Yes.
Wow. So can you, I mean, the last I saw, Ecuador had an economy, like a GDP that was about 60% of New Zealand's. So, and it has oil resources, doesn't it? So why, you said they're trying to get Ecuador into financial trouble. Isn't Ecuador reasonably well off because of their oil?
Well, you see, that's what the new, you know, right-wing governments are doing. They are turning their own nations into being productive ones, into nations that are borrow money to keep the government going. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's why that's why they cut off the investment of the government in the national economy. I think it went down by 20%. So that's a big, you know, that's a big amount of money being removed from the financial market of the country. So, you know, so that's what they want to do. They don't want an Ecuador that is productive, that has a good economy. Because of that, they want to sell everything that produces, and you know, and start borrowing money. You know, that's the agenda.
Wow.
I have a question from chat for you, Jose. The question is, what is Moreno using as his reason for imprisoning Glass?
He accused them of, I don't know if you remember the Odebrecht scandal. You know, the Brazilian company that operated in several Latin American countries, and there was a scandal in all these countries. You know, involving payoffs, you know, to get contracts.
Is it an oil company?
Yes, it's a Brazilian company. They do all kinds of construction work. It's a multinational.
Yes.
And also in Brazil there was a huge scandal, and a lot of politicians went to jail. You know, powerful ones. So here, they accused Glass of having received money, but they searched all his accounts and he never received a penny. In fact, he has you know, a modest house. He's not rich, and the accusation of the court, you know, the sentence after the several court hearings was just one page. They used a law that doesn't exist anymore. It is called illegal association.
Wow.
You know, it's like if you associate yourself with let's say a mafia, and you get money from that relationship, you know, that is illegal. So that law is for that. But you see, he did not. They could not find any money. So, and also that law was no longer in the law books. So they just used the old law, you know, like that law didn't exist anymore. And if you read the sentence, it's just one page. It's just one page. And all it says is that he is being accused of illegal association. That's it. They don't put, you know, evidence, nothing, because they don't have any evidence. Lenin just wanted to put, you know, removed Glass out of the way so that he would do all the changes in government that he has done. And that's the story for Glass.
Oh, that's incredible. That's terrible. So how difficult was it for you to find the sentence? I mean, you would take a personal interest in it, as I understand it. You're very interested in like court cases and basically a citizen journalist, aren't you?
Well, you know, I've been fighting the U.S. government for decades. So, you know, starting from the monster Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
So you know, I'm sure the CIA has a good size folder for me.
Yes.
You see, in the U.S., you know, you can do those kinds of things, but here you cannot. You cannot expose yourself too much because you know they could they could kill you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, stay safe.
Yes.
And so just to bring it back to Julian Assange, as I understand it, so he has brought suit against Ecuador to restore his human rights.
Right.
But it sounds like he has no chance.
No chance.
On the other hand, you know, it was one thing that it created some publicity, and we saw him for the first time after 7 months. We saw his face.
Yes.
So I'm still glad that his lawyers did that, and I thank them for that. I think it was in that way helpful. And
yes, but you see, yeah.
Well, the people of Ecuador, I mean, how aware are they of that case?
Not that many. Not that many, because the media, you know, the news media here, you know, they just don't touch the subject. But very briefly,
yes,
you know, so you know, for example, if you look at the web page of any newspaper here, that's one news. But when you buy the newspaper, you don't see the same thing.
Huh. So the web page has more content.
Yes. So you know, the Lenin government knows that the international community, you know, doesn't care about Assange, you know, because otherwise, you know, you would have, a whole army of, international, news media outside of the court, and that day it was just Ecuadorians, reporters doing working for radio stations and things like that, you know. Yes. So that tells you that the international media has no interest whatsoever in Assange, and I think they just want to ignore him.
Yes, they do.
Because they don't want people to know, you know.
Yes.
Jose, there is a question for you in chat. It is in Spanish. Yes. So if you could take a look in chat and oh, whoops, just a second. It looks like I accidentally put it in a private message. I'll put it again. This is the question. If you can check chat at the bottom, and perhaps you can answer that for the person who asked it in YouTube.
Well, I don't know how to do that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, at the very bottom of your screen, there's a button that says chat underneath. And if you click on that.
Well, I don't see chat here.
Oh, okay. I'm not very good at Spanish. Can anyone read Spanish?
Well, he can send me the private message and I'll answer it.
Here, I will send it to you in DM. 1 second here.
It's very short. I mean, I could have a stab. I'll just try. Jose, mostrando tu cara on esta video peligroso. It's a question. Does that make any sense?
I just sent it to you in
Yes.
DM.
Oh, Fleur's here. Jose, is it dangerous to show your face? Yeah, Fleur's a
Yes, it
native
is.
speaker. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we really do appreciate you doing this, Jose, and it also, I think it helps Ecuador as well that that you're appearing here and saying it. So Elizabeth here in chat, Cat Mima has a question for you. Do you want to ask it actually, Elizabeth?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to sidetrack too much talking about trade deals. You know, it's always my interest. But I was just wondering if right now Ecuador is negotiating or part of any negotiations for trade deals at the moment. I just remember a while ago reading an article that somehow trade was being used as a leverage, and they were. I don't know exactly in what direction, but that it was somewhat related to the Assange case. So I just wanted to know if there's any information about that at all.
Well, I do know that the government is in contact to enter the Trans-Pacific Partnership Economic Agreement.
There we go. There we go.
And also, yes, and also the remember that when Manafort came, he came to negotiate a lot of the properties that our government has. The people's property. And so Lenin, it's already in the process of privatizing the people's property. You know, like generating electrical generating plants, mining. In fact, today I just learned that Halliburton is interested in exploiting oil in a national forest in the Amazon region, where communities that do not want contact with us are living. You see, there are
indigenous.
There are people, indigenous communities living in the jungle that they have refused to be in contact with us. I don't blame them at all, because wherever we are, we destroy everything, you know.
It's very interesting.
So that's yes, that is the latest. So that's why I said they want to change Ecuador from a producing country into a debtor country, always in debt, you know.
Yep. That is again, Bruce, I'll leave it up to you because you're sort of moderating, and I don't want to sidetrack.
Go ahead.
Should I go ahead? Okay, so I followed the TPP, as everyone knows, for years, and then one thing that I noticed that was very interesting is that see, I don't know if this is inappropriate. I shouldn't probably go off on too much of a tangent. All I can say is that a lot of Stop TPP activists, journalists, politicians, you name it, anybody who was trying to stop this trade deal ended up having a lot of harassment. And my personal theory is that this silencing of Julian could be related to the trade deals. That's my personal feeling. That's not Unity for Jay. This is just my own observation. By judging all the different people that have been recently in the last years, myself included, just completely attacked from all sides in various ways. I think that they are identifying the people that were very critical in helping stop TPP in the US. And I think that they're very angry. The people that wanted these corporations and the government that wanted the Five Eye government that really wanted these trade deals to go through, the transnational elite, is bitter. They're so angry they did not get that trade deal in the US that they are viciously attacking people. And I think that, Julian Assange has been publishing for what has it been, like a decade, over a decade? WikiLeaks has been publishing, but they really just upped viciously going after him. And for me, in my eyes, from what I've studied, I feel like it's related to the trade deals because Julian Assange was brave enough. Somebody was leaking parts of these trade deal texts that were supposed to be secret. See, these corporations didn't want the public to know what they were doing. They didn't want people to know that there were all these international, transnational negotiations going on. So there were people within, I guess, these groups that were quietly leaking pieces of the text, and Julian and WikiLeaks were brave enough to publish pieces of the text. And what that did was it gave all the activists and all the journalists and all the other people that were screaming and saying, look, we think this TPP is going to be awful. And what a lot of the mainstream media was doing, and other people were saying, like, for instance, I got into an argument with people in the New York Times, and I'm like, this is front page news. You need to talk about TPP right now. They wouldn't do it. They kept saying, we need proof. We need proof. Oh, this is speculation. This is conspiracy theory. And I'm like, look, it's not conspiracy theory when you have actual people and corporations going to meetings and like trying to, pass legislation in Congress. Like, that's not a theory. That's like, they're actually doing that. And they said, well, we don't know. Maybe the text will be fine. And so we were getting word. We were getting word from people like in unions. They thought that the people in the unions in all these different countries were going to sell out their own people. Well, the people in the unions, when they started reading parts of the TPP text, were horrified. They're like, this is going to kill our economy. This is going to make, like you said, every country a debtor nation. It was going to basically do four things, which I'll talk about later if you want me to. But just to try to round this up is that WikiLeaks and Julian Assange gave us that proof. They gave us that proof. They gave us the proof so that we didn't look like conspiracy theorists, so that we didn't look crazy, so that we could say, look, we're hearing from unions that this trade deal is going to destroy not just the US, not just Canada, not just New Zealand, not just, it was like 12 countries. And then they call it, had like an open policy so that they were going to keep on adding more countries and more countries and more countries. And what it is basically the ISDS tribunal is just a mechanism for the elite in each country to sue each other's people and create debt for their own workers. The elite aren't going to be affected. They control this offshore ISDS tribunal, and then they manufacture reasons to sue each other. But we didn't elect these corporations to be our leaders. We didn't elect these people to go off and represent us in these offshore tribunals. And then they're going to be assigning debt to us, the people, in all of these countries. This is awful. So we were all screaming about this, saying, look. They're in these secret negotiations. It's been going on for years. We've got to talk about this. And I was calling the New York Times and screaming, look, this is front page news. Put it on. And they were saying, no, we don't have the text. We don't know what the ISD is. They're playing all coy. And the funny story is, which I told in one of my videos, is that after I was badgering Jonathan Weissman of the New York Times for a while and trolling him repeatedly, and then telling my group of 15,000, hey, this guy's saying he's only going to post information in the New York Times about it if he gets proof. He needs proof that this is happening. Someone magically leaked the ISDS chapter right at that time. And then Jonathan Weissman finally had to eat crow a little bit and write about it, even though he didn't do, an article that should have been as effective as it.
I have another question for Jose in YouTube that somebody has asked.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Let me get back to it. Jose, Simonim has asked, can you ask Jose if Korea knows all the updates you have just given us on glass?
Yes, he does. He knows because he's his friend. He knows everything that Lenin is doing to them.
Thank you. Yeah, that's actually quite important. Because he himself is being targeted, is he not?
Yes.
I heard that they're trying to extradite him from Belgium.
Yes. He's, yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, are there any other people that they're also trying to bring back to the country?
Yes, the guy who was the chief of the government communications office that Correa set up. His name is Alvarado. His last name is Alvarado. I sent a list about a couple of hours ago to Discord that they are doing a report on those names.
Yeah, it seems to be, he seems to be quite spreading his net quite wide, which is a very, very bad sign. He's just betrayed everything that he was elected for. People didn't, as far as I know, people elected him because they thought he was a supporter of Korea, and he's turned around and done everything the opposite. Can you tell us about the protests?
Yes.
How are people reacting?
Well, you see the protests that you see on Twitter, you see them on Twitter only. And most people don't even know what Twitter is, you know. A lot of young people do know, but as you know, when you put a message on Twitter, it right away goes down. So you know, a lot of times, you know, we don't see it unless you know the person who, you know, who creates them. But here is an interesting point. The statistics on the acceptance rate for Lenín Moreno is 51% disapproval, which means we have a 49% that that does not know what Lenín Moreno is doing, because that's how I read the statistics. You see,
where did they come from?
That 41%. It's a poll that they did here in Ecuador that they are doing every few weeks.
Wouldn't that be suppressed by the news media, who are corporate controlled? Did they actually publish that?
Yes.
Oh wow! So they can't completely hide it then, eh?
I do not know if they publish it on the printed media, or they don't say that on the TV news. No, they don't say that.
Where is that information being released, Jose?
What was that?
Where is that where are those statistics being released?
I can send the statistics to Discord. You tell me where you want me to send it.
Okay, well, just maybe DM them to me. I'd be very interested. Thank you.
Okay, I will send it to you.
It's actually online though, isn't it, Jose? Even Ecuadorian news articles show the statistics.
Yes. They're kind of difficult to track because, you know, a lot of times you see it on Twitter and then they are gone. You never see them anymore. So if you don't see it the first time, ciao, ciao, you know?
Yeah.
So I always keep copying the messages all the time in my telephone, and then I transfer it to my PC in case someone wants to hack my phone.
So you said
that's what was it? Excuse me?
Didn't you say that a reasonable number of young Ecuadorians are on Twitter?
Yes, I do not have the numbers, so I don't. I mean, a lot of young people, I think, know what Twitter is, but they don't really use it. They use more Facebook for their communications.
And
here
Facebook.
in Ecuador. Yes,
And
Facebook.
so it's hard to hold a political conversation on Facebook. I noticed that.
I don't use it, so I don't know.
Oh, that's good, actually. Didn't you say that the protests are increasing day by day? Is that what you said?
Yes, yeah, in frequency. In frequency, they are at least in the capital, because in the other city, which is the biggest, in Guayaquil, it's all right wing, and it's a big corruption there, and all the leaders there are corrupt. And as soon as they see a protest, they'll probably send the police to to use violence and to get them out of the streets.
I have another question for you, Jose, from the YouTube chat from Stefani Marsilia.
Yes.
Jose, any thoughts on UNGA President Maria Fernando Espinosa, who helped arrange Assange's sanctuary? Because the visit from 2 UN reps to Marino precipitated this whole special protocol. And because my assessment, Stephanie's assessment, is that Marino whipped it out and pissed right in her face. So I don't know if that question is clear, but.
Yes, I understood that. You see, the Maria Fernanda Espinosa is a political asset right now for Lenin, because she's the president of the UN Assembly. But as soon as she finishes that term, believe me, Lenin will just throw her to the dogs, just like that.
Very interesting assessment. Wow. Why would he do that?
Well, because well, you saw what he did to Glass wife today, so he is capable of a lot of bad things.
Yes, that's true. Very true. And it doesn't matter what kind of prestige the person has. If he's capable of doing that to his vice president and the vice president's family, he's quite capable of anything. Yeah.
Well, you can see the protocol that he gave Assange. I mean, it's terrible, and he's capable of more than that. So I need to say goodnight to all, and I hope everybody takes care of themselves. Okay.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Oh. 2 quick questions. One,
yes, sure.
One, do you feel like this guy is such a monster that the people are afraid of him? I mean, for instance, I really am very interested in organizing student teams. I don't know if you have the capability or if you have friends who have a capability, but I'm looking for, a couple people on each campus. And if you can bring me people from Ecuador, I'd love to work with them, because I would love to have a flyer regularly in all 4 of the countries that are really affecting Assange. I don't know if things are so bad there that to do that is to play with people's lives or something, but I wanted to get your opinion on that and see if you were interested in helping.
Well, you see, the student association of the state universities, which is the biggest university in Ecuador, it's all under the CIA control. The leaders, they province them, with the university, free university after they graduate from there. So that's what I know. So I do not know any student. So they control the unions, student unions at the universities. They control everything.
Is there a way to privately go and individually find people and just say, look, we're very interested in having people flyer. It doesn't even have to be on campus, but within communities, online, social media? Or is that, have things gotten so bad there that they are trying to shut that down?
Well, I wouldn't know how to do it, but as you know, it all takes a good leader. You see, a good leader can do all those things, and especially if it's a young student leader, it could do that. But I do not know of any of them.
Jose, I have another question for you from YouTube,
Yes.
if you have time. If you don't, that's okay. But the question is this. Some years ago, Craig Murray wrote of becoming aware that the Pentagon paid CIA millions to derail Korea from winning an election in order to get to Julian Assange. Wish I knew more. Is Jose aware of any of that?
Yes, when Correa went to the second election, I'll just give you that data. They had, on the election night, they had 8,000 attempts to break into the system, into the electoral system computers of Ecuador. And they were all coming from the outside of Ecuador. Who has that capability? Only the United States.
Very true. Very, very true.
Okay, thanks so much, Jose. Oh, Jose, do you keep it, like, are you aware of what's going on in the Ecuadorian embassy of London? Would you be have you been keeping interested about that?
Yes, well, I will have some news tomorrow for that. I'm trying to find out what happened in the last weekend, that it was Memorial Day in Ecuador.
Thanks
I'm
very
trying
much.
to find out what happened. Yes, because what I know is that they closed the door and they didn't take food for those 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
So that's all I know. So, but I'm trying to find out more information.
Yes. Yesterday, Kathy Bogan, towards the end, was saying they're really making the conditions in there intolerable for Julian. This is just her theory, her speculation, and that almost like he doesn't need to be transported to a prison in the US, that they'll make that his prison in London. So that's her speculation.
Yeah. Because you see, the new protocol puts Assange into another category, a prisoner of conscience. He's right now become a prisoner at the embassy, because you don't be behind, bars to be a prisoner.
Yes.
He's a prisoner now at the embassy. So he's also a prisoner, besides being an asylee at the embassy. He's a prisoner of conscience. That room where Assange is a prisoner.
Yes.
Jose, I just wanted to say that you are certainly welcome to these WikiBees anytime you want to jump in, because there are so many people who really would like to know what is going on in Ecuador, and it's been priceless having you as a resource.
I understand. Yes. I try to put as much information I can in Unity for Jay so that everybody is aware of what's happening, So I'll say good night. I have to go and bake some bread.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Good night, Jose.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good night.
Wow, that's wonderful having him.
He's great. He's just such a solid resource of information for us. It's been makes such a difference knowing what's going on, you know.
Yes.
And having someone with boots right on the ground there is really priceless.
May I ask a question? I probably should have asked him before he left, but and maybe you've already discussed this, but I read that they replaced the entire staff or most of the staff in the Ecuadorian embassy recently. Is that true?
Yes, apparently they did.
God.
That was according to, I believe, the JA account, the Assange Defend account. Said that.
Yeah, I was trying to remember where I read that, but it was just.
I could be wrong, but that's what I think. That's, but it was, yeah, they've apparently replaced all the staff. He doesn't know anybody now. And it reminds me of what I expect will happen is that he'll just be put into a situation that's completely intolerable. He'll get no cooperation. More and more things like this weekend where they know that he relies on the lawyers and other people to bring him food, and they intentionally block that. I think we'll see a lot more of that kind of stuff, because the whole idea is to create a toxic, poisoned environment that he's living in, so that he's driven to the point where he leaves on his own. If he leaves on his own, that solves all their political problems, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
basically, you know, they haven't broken any laws if they can force him to leave on his own. And the way that they can do that is to just create such a toxic, hostile environment for him every minute of every day with no cooperation, causing problems for him, sabotaging him. And eventually, you know, it's just going to get to him, right? Although, you know, he's pretty strong. So I don't know. I mean, you know, some people have the resources and the internal strength to deal with it, right? I mean, Kat, you and I know all about this kind of crap, right? So
Yes. Unfortunately.
yeah. So and Julian has shown over and over again that he's a resilient, strong person. So
I mean, I don't want to segue into just talking about targeting, but I mean, if they can do as much as they've done to us, and we're just like supporters, it's like I can't even imagine. There's so much that we just, I'm sure, don't even know about, of course, that they're doing to torture him right now, and it's just awful. And
well, they started a lot of this stuff with Jacob Applebaum. He was actually, they started with him, actually. And he exposed the CIA trying to infiltrate Dore, and was completely defamed. I mean, the smear campaign against him destroyed him. He was kicked out of numerous groups that he was involved with, because he's a tech person, right? And this whole campaign was created for to create these codes of conduct, because he was allegedly, I mean, it was all exaggeration, twisting of stories, intentional vilification, you know? So it was pretty vicious with him. And that was not because of any stand he took with TPP. That was because he took on the CIA in Dore, and he was punished for it, basically.
No, I mean, I know people can get targeted for other reasons, and I remember that he got smeared in a very, I mean, he got smeared.
Oh, it was filed.
Smeared in a very similar way. Of course, they always, particularly with men, seem to find ways to smear men and their sexual lives. I mean, they do it with women too.
They do that with women too. Trust me.
But they do. But I mean, it's really the kiss of, you know, they really, really are assassinating someone's character when they just throw out random accusations and they're not even accurate, and they're just.
Oh, they were all proven to be lies, except, all of them pretty much were proven to be lies. But it still destroyed his reputation. I mean, you know, people were just so eager to jump on the bandwagon of believing this stuff. It was the same thing with Julian with the Swedish nonsense. You know, that really did more harm than a lot of the other stuff. And yet there's not a shred of truth in it, you know. So
remember what we found in the well, I put it under cat memer analysis, the hashtag cat memer analysis, but remember Stratfor was celebrating. Oh, yeah. They were celebrating the fact that they were basically saying in their little internal emails that if you're a, may I quote, left-wing psychoactivist, which sometimes these people are considered or whatever, which is ironic because everyone's calling Julian Assange right-wing, but he's neither. Anyway, but that you can expect to be framed for crimes and tortured and possibly killed. That's what we're finding in these internal emails, that Stratfor, a CIA subcontractor, is talking amongst themselves.
It's worse than that. They go after, I wasn't targeted because I did anything. I was targeted when I was 16 years old. And it's because my uncle was the founder of one of Canada's biggest left-wing organizations in Canada. And they threatened him. They told him that if he didn't stop, they were going to come after me and ruin my life simply because I was related to him. And of course he didn't stop. I'm glad he didn't stop. He had every right to do what he was doing. But they came after me and they've never stopped, you know. So, I mean, you can literally be anyone that's connected. You know, you don't even have to have done anything. They just arbitrarily decide. And some of these people in these intelligence circles are so seriously mentally ill. They're, in my opinion, some of them are totally off the wall, you know, so crazy that they actually belong in in asylum for the criminally insane. And the only reason they don't go there is because they are in intelligence.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, anyone who's advocating torture, you know what I mean, and using torture and framing people definitely has some screws loose, in my opinion. But I'm going to I'll post it on my Twitter, but I'll post the link again. I retweet it often, but if anyone wants to see what Stratfor's saying in their internal emails about how activists should be framed.
They even planned, they talked about framing Julian for, you know, they talked about what they could frame him for. And the two things that came up were rape and pedophilia, you know. So there's an email where they were talking about that as well.
Well, I've got a couple emails where they're talking about, they're saying, would the government hire a couple, they call them hoochies, and try to, you know, basically frame him. And then the guy says, hell yes. And they're just so bitter and angry that Julian has had the nerve to publish any of their, you know, dirty secrets. And so, I mean, it's very telling when a CIA subcontractor is sitting around and acting like this is just, you know, routine. Of course, if you're going to speak out against the CIA, well, then you should expect to be framed. You should expect to be tortured, and you should basically thank. And the really annoying part that I found is they even said if you're in Russia, they would just kill you. But you know, we're supposed to be very thankful that the U.S. just does it covertly. That they'll just frame people for crimes they didn't commit, and then when they're done with them, torture them covertly behind the scenes, and nobody will know about it. We're supposed to be like, thank you for not just murdering me outright. Well, I don't know which is worse. I would say torture and then getting murdered is probably worse. So, I mean, these spy agencies are just way have gone rogue and out of control, in my opinion. But anyway, I will post again. If you're watching my page, I post it ad nauseum, but I'll post it again. My cat memer analysis, and I'd love to see what you found too, Kitty. So if you can post it or send it to me privately, I'd love to see the emails you found too.
I'll have to look them up again, but sure.
Okay.
I'll DM them to you, and you can tweet them.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just going to check for more questions. Okay, there's no questions that I can find. Does anybody have any more questions that they wanted to ask? Tonight is open mic night, and essentially we're just here to talk to you and get your input, get your questions, get your ideas, anything you want to say. It's open mic.
Yeah, one thing that Stephanie said in YouTube that I remember also is that Jose said not all of the staff were replaced in the Ecuadorian embassy. So someone said that all the staff were replaced, and Jose actually corrected that. So he's right on top of things. So he really is the expert on that we can ask, a really good source.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. I had thought that it was everyone. That's good. Yeah, Stratford was pretty interesting in terms of their general attitudes towards all of this stuff. They're known as the what is the term that's used? The shadow CIA is the term that they're used to describe Stratford. Because what Stratford does is pretty much what the CIA does, but they're a private company. And that, frankly, that makes a lot of what they do illegal because they don't have the legal protections that the CIA has.
Are they huge?
Stratford is absolutely massive. Their main client is Goldman Sachs.
Huh.
Goldman Sachs is their biggest client. And of course, we know how Goldman Sachs feels about WikiLeaks.
I'm listening. I'm just, I'm typing in a tweet right now, so.
Yeah, I just had to cough, so I muted myself. But yeah, Goldman, they do a lot of work for Goldman Sachs. They've also done work targeting activists who protested Monsanto. There was also in India that big scandal with that company that a lot of their workers ended up blind. I can't remember the name of the company, but they were in India.
Yeah, it was the Exide, the company.
No, it wasn't that one. It was previous to that.
It was Bhopal, I think.
That's it. That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
They were targeting activists that were involved in that. So they
were targeting the Yes Men. Do you remember the Yes Men?
No,
no. The Yes Men were sort of like almost like a comedy group, and they would pretend they were corporations, and they would go in and so like they made a big announcement with Bhopal. They were pretending that finally, after all these years, Bhopal is going to actually take responsibility for this horrible disaster, and they made this big flashy announcement, and everyone picked it up, and they thought it was really Bhopal like doing this, or whatever company was now responsible. And so it created this big buzz where people were like, oh my God, that's great. They're going to pay off all their victims, all the people who have been victimized, everything. And then when they figured out it was actually the Yes Men who do this and make movies about it, it made the company look a million times worse. Their stock plummeted. All these things happened to. So the Yes Men were funny, and they did sort of these pranks, but they were very political and they were very effective. But yeah, they went after them.
That's really something.
Yeah.
But all of this information that Kat and I are talking about is actually in the WikiLeaks database. If you do a search for Stratford, if you put in the keywords, you will find all of this information there. Stratford actually did these things. These are not conspiracy theories. The emails are there.
If you look under, I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I just did it after my name so that I'd have a record of finding it again. But you can do hashtag cat memer analysis, all one word, and you can do it in either Twitter or Facebook, and you should see a whole bunch of emails. There's, I just started the process for mine, but there may be like 10 to 20 emails, and they all pertain to Stratfor and framing Julian Assange for crimes he didn't commit.
Yeah, well, you can also go to, let me just get the proper email, website address, and I'll post it into chat. You can also go to WikiLeaks.org and just do a whole bunch of searches on Stratfor on your own. And you will find a wealth of information there exposing all of the activities that Stratfor was engaged in that were, in many cases, illegal for a private company to be doing. This is what people forget. These private black ops companies, they are operating outside of the law. They aren't protected in the way that the CIA itself is protected or other intelligence agencies are protected by law. They are breaking the law when they do this stuff, and they should be held accountable. All of this information has been exposed about Stratfor. Why aren't these people arrested and in jail? You know?
It's really awful. Well, what I've understood from, watching a lot of, actually, Jeremy Scahill talked about this a long time ago, how private companies, I don't know if it's still the case today because the information that I looked at from Scahill was from years ago, but he says that these private companies don't have to file FOIA documents. It's Freedom of Information Act documents. So if they're targeting people, good luck getting the records on any level. Not that the government would really be offering that much anyway. They redact so much, et cetera, et cetera. It's not, but still every now and then activists or people can sometimes go to the government and file Freedom of Information Act documents and sometimes get little pieces of here or there of how they've been somehow subjected to some kind of unfair action against them. But the government loves outsourcing to companies like Stratfor. They love that. They love private companies.
We have the evidence now. We
do from leaks, but
crimes.
But if they shut down Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and people like them, and we get rid of our freedom of press, then what happens?
Yeah, but the point is that they're not doing anything. They're not pressing charges, even though the evidence is sitting there. They have access to it. They're not addressing it at all. It's simply being ignored. And it's not like the powers that be don't know it's there. The Department of Justice, if there was such a thing as equal justice in this world, the Department of Justice should have filed charges against them immediately. They don't have a legal right to criminally harass American citizens or Canadian citizens or Indian citizens or anyone else, you know?
Agreed. I agree.
And it's just outrageous to me that we have, first of all, we have laws in place to protect us from these things. Second of all, the government is now creating laws that weaken those protections. And the impact of that is what is happening to Julian. And when they are done with Julian, they will be coming after all of us.
Yes.
Unless people get it and start marching in the streets and demanding that those laws be withdrawn because they're unconstitutional, or in Canada, they violate our charter. Unless people start fighting against the mass surveillance laws, against the torture laws, against these spy laws that allow them to do all kinds of horrible things to people, it's only going to get a lot worse. So what is happening to Julian Assange isn't just about Julian Assange. It's about everybody. Because if people think this isn't going to happen to them, they're very naive. We had CSIS go to the US and investigate the North Dakota pipeline protests And their grounds were that there was a terrorist activity that took place. You know what the terrorist activity was? Somebody turned off a valve on the pipeline so that one portion of the pipeline no longer flowed oil. That was, according to CSIS, their terrorist act that they justified to go into a foreign country to investigate not only Canadians that were participating in the pipeline protest, but Americans as well. This is outrageous. People should be really, like, you know, screaming about this stuff.
I absolutely agree with you, Kitty. And I mean, you remember WikiLeaks posting that particular leak about how go after all of Assange's assets, leave nothing, you know, unturned, basically. But the last sentence, they say, go after anyone related to Wiki. That means WikiLeaks supporters.
Exactly.
And so
and
it
that's
doesn't
when
take
they
anything.
started
And
targeting.
Yeah.
If you look at the dates on the emails, that's when they started targeting various WikiLeaks supporters, including Jacob Applebaum.
Yeah. And the thing is that, you know, we really need to get across to the mainstream public that people that are getting targeted are yeah, exactly like you said. We're not radicals. We're people that are, like, I've been joking and saying, you know, when I was stopping TPP, I was just sitting and eating chocolate and reading articles and posting them, you know, like in my own room in my underwear. Like, I really was not, like, that's about how radical it gets. I eat organic food and sit around and read. Like, I'm a prolific reader. That's my radical action. And if they can go after people simply because, oh, I read WikiLeaks, you know, we're in a lot of trouble. So this definitely, I agree with you, Kitty. This is much bigger than, I mean, we all love Julian Assange and we commend his bravery, but this issue is much larger than just Julian Assange. It's about our freedom of press and free speech. If we don't stand up for it, we can all be targets.
It's also about breaking down the foundations of fascism that the global elite is building globally right now. What are when you use the term foundations of fascism, what are they? They are the spy legislation that legalizes violating people's charter of rights. They are mass surveillance. They are limiting press freedoms, you know, chipping away at them. This is called laying the foundations of fascism. This is what happened before Hitler took place in Nazi Germany. It was all the legislation that they passed in Canada. 2 items of it were, or one item was almost, according to a constitutional lawyer in Canada, was almost word for word legislation passed in Nazi Germany by Hitler. Almost word for word, one of the pieces of legislation that they passed. And that was supported by the Liberals. It was implemented by the Conservatives, but it had 100% Liberal support, and the Liberals have done nothing to withdraw it. So this is, you know, people keep talking about, oh, we've got to fight fascism and all of this. And it becomes an issue of some orange man, Trump. No, it's not an issue of Trump. It's an issue of this legislation. If you really want to take fighting fascism seriously, this is what you have to fight. Trump isn't the issue. It wouldn't matter if Hillary got in. It wouldn't matter if Trump was there. It wouldn't matter if they had some other guy there. They would all be passing the same kind of legislation. They would all be doing the same kinds of things. And that's what has to be fought. And this whole resistance crap is just a DNC fraud to, you know, distract everybody from the fact that the DNC screwed themselves. You know, the DNC screwed themselves in their election. And, you know, now they want this big resistance against Trump. Well, I'm sorry, but if Hillary, excuse me, I keep calling her that. If Hillary had been elected, it wouldn't have been any different. So, you know, the fight against fascism is the fight against this legislation. It's not some intellectual exercise, and it's not some individual.
Didn't Julian have a really good quote? And he's like, the Democrats are wolf in sheep's clothing and the Republicans are wolf in wolf's clothing, or something like that. It was really funny. But anyway, basically just conveying the fact that, look, you know, the system's corrupt, and we really, we need to get out there and talk about, like you said, all of these unfair ways that governments, no matter what the party, are attacking innocent people, journalists, dissidents, activists, whistleblowers. union organizers, people who are just reading WikiLeaks, apparently, people that are just cat memeing, apparently, in their underwear, eating chocolate. So, it's gotten really widespread. And yeah, I've been posting and I scream about it all the time, Ben. So I'm sorry if I rant on my pages sometimes. But yes, this is not just, this is a fight for Julian, because we all love him. And this is, free Julian Assange. But this is also, this is a much wider issue, and it's about our human rights.
Exactly.
Globally.
Julian, that's what Julian Assange represents. Mm-hmm. That is what and that's why he's so important.
Yes.
That's why he's the queen bee. He's the queen bee, and if he goes, all our wiki bees do too. So get out there, everyone. Bring me. Okay, can I plug my teams again before we go, please? I do it every time, but please, if you're a student, okay, thank you. If you're a student, please, 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 please bring me people. I need people on campuses. I want a flyer weekly. We're going to send downloads. You guys on the campuses are going to photocopy, and then you're just going to every day or like weekly just hand out as many as possible. But I need a team, and slow down a little bit. If you're not a student, I recommend just going to your local colleges or universities and just walking around, maybe start at the tech department. They're always kind of savvy people that know how to get information around, and try to see if you can find people to do free photocopying for you. See if you can just get people that will join our Discord and join our team, so that when we're ready and we have flyers, we just send the download, they download it, they print it, they go. So bring me people. I want people in Ecuador. I want people in Australia. I want people in the UK. I want people in the USA. We have got to branch out these college teams, and the sooner we do it, the more we will have a huge group of people out there and raise awareness. Thank you.
Cool. I really hope that takes off. That's a great idea.
Thank you, Kitty.
And then we have our new action, which is our pots and pans protest of people protesting in front of Harrods with their pots and pans every Saturday until Julian is free.
Very excited about that. I wish I could just teleport to London and be there. I'm so excited. Please, if you're in London, make it splashy. I can't wait to post about it.
Oh, well, we have our first new meme on Unity for J, promoting it. So that's step one. Step two will be starting to get the images in of people actually doing it. So we're on our way.
I'm excited. Do it up, London.
Yeah, we're counting on you guys.
We are.
Counting on you, London towners.
Do it, London. Uh-oh, my computer just did something strange. I have to go, you guys.
That's Joe sharing the screen.
Okay. I'm going to say goodnight to you guys really quickly because someone's here and I have to go. But love you all. Thanks for everything that everyone contributed tonight, and all the listeners and audience and everyone. You're all contributing. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's great having you. Thank you for being here.
Okay, yeah, great having you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
So this is the image of our latest action. Hopefully everybody will jump on board. Spread those images far and wide.
Yeah, looks great. So what time are people supposed to show up tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't think there is a set time. I think it's just go whenever you want and leave whenever you want.
Yes.
it sounded pretty flexible. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I recall.
Yeah, I hope people pass the message on. It's 3 a.m. in London at the moment. So probably not many people from London will be watching this at the moment.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I'm not a very well-traveled person, so I'm time zone illiterate.
Yeah, it's sort of a shame. There's no one time that suits everyone in America, in the Americas, and in Europe, and in New Zealand altogether.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know are there any more questions from people in the in any of the chats here?
Oh, someone said, love Bruce's article on TPP in New Zealand. Protect what's true, said that. Thank you very much. Protect what's true. I really appreciate that. If you go to my website, to my Twitter account, which is Crowd v Bank on Twitter, then it's the pinned tweet on that.
Cool.
Thanks very much for the plug. I appreciate it. Some very nice comments. A lot of hearts for people. A lot of hearts for Kat Mima, especially.
She's a lovely person.
Yes.
And very, very knowledgeable on stuff. For sure.
Yeah, speaking of TPP, she was massive in the TPP movement.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and she was very, very actively involved in fighting that. I read your article. It was good.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah. It was very interesting.
Well, scary. Absolutely scary. Incredible.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing that all over the place these days. This whole week, actually. It's been like...
Yes, I mean, Jose was talking about Ecuador and they're wanting to join the TPP, but it's happening all over the world. It's not just South America or Central America, or it's the Five Eyes countries as well, New Zealand. The TPP, they'll invite anyone who wants to join it.
Yeah, I think Canada, I don't know what... Canada. I think Canada joined the New Zealand thing, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what it is, the TPP. Canada is in.
Yeah.
Everything in the article applies to Canada.
Yeah.
There's a TPP government that sits above Canadian national government.
Yeah, that was the shocking thing about it, was that there's this body, that governing body that controls everything that goes on in terms of business in our country.
Yes, that article doesn't cover the content of the treaty itself. The article just says there's 6,000 pages of treaty code that becomes binding law on all of the 6 countries, including Canada, including New Zealand. And there are horrible things in those 6,000 pages, probably worthy of another article. But it's a bit like NAFTA, that foreign investors can sue the governments.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was the scandalous thing about this legislation, even before it got passed, was that this ability that they had to file these massive lawsuits. And in fact, that's been Trudeau's excuse for continuing to sell arms to Saudi Arabia, despite all the current controversies happening regarding it. He's claiming that, well, we have a contract with them and we'll have to pay out all kinds of money if we don't go through with it. Well, they don't care about breaking the law when it comes to Julian Assange or their own citizens, but when it comes to the Saudis, hey, they can't break the law,
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Booth just wrote a comment, had contact from Chile, just going through Parliament there, the TPP. That's what Jose Rivera mentioned, that the TPP is going through. And I held my head, and Elizabeth look shocked. And yeah, it's going on all around the world.
Yeah, this is insane. This is the real tragedy. And this is why we have to sort of, in my opinion anyway, incorporate all of these things. You know, people need to really get their act together, and because they're not isolated. They're all part of the same fight.
Yes. Yes, yes, and also personified in Julian Assange, though. We have to save Julian.
Yeah, I mean, he's the symbol for all of this. And, you know, he's the one that exposed a lot of it. Even the TPP, I think one of the reasons that it failed originally was because it got exposed through WikiLeaks, or at least portions of it did.
Yes.
And they just sort of snuck it in behind our backs after the fact.
Yes. So Joe is showing the questions. Are there any more questions? Kathy, what do you think?
I'm not seeing, maybe, I hope I didn't miss something. Question, do you guys know how awesome you are? Thank you, Christian.
Well, come on, come and join our team, eh? Come and join the Discord if you're not already in the Discord. It's unityforj, letter 4, j.com/Discord. And then you can join our Discord work team. And I think people are going to be invited to come on to these WikiBeast sessions. I don't know how that's going to be organized, but...
yeah, we should do that. We should have members, you know, our supporters taking turns and coming on board, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're just speaking up, and everybody can speak up. And actually, by coming on the questions here, you are contributing as well. Just by saying hello, you're contributing. You're doing something positive. You know, there's a self-imposed silence that people don't want to get involved, and you've broken that already by watching this stream and by posting comments. So that's the hardest step in some ways, isn't it? The first step.
That's right.
Or a lot of you would have already done some other things as well, but you know, if some of you, you know, if that's the first step you've done, you're welcome. Any other post on social media about Julian? It doesn't have to be for Unity for J.
I'll do a quick search on Facebook. I'm just on the Unity for J page, which is shared all over the place, but it's fairly quiet. But I'll do a search and see what I can find, what people are saying. Let's see. It's mostly me, Elizabeth, WikiLeaks. There isn't a lot of public commentary. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of public commentary.
I'm listening to the WikiBees. I don't know if you want to hear it. In the background.
There are comments to some of the, okay, there were some comments to the WikiLeaks. Let's take a look at what the comments say.
Elizabeth, you're unmuted, just so you're aware. If you want to talk privately, you might want to mute.
She may not realize she's still here.
Yes, she's listening to us.
Sorry.
Oh,
I just realized. I'm eating with someone. Didn't mean to interrupt. I'm really going.
Welcome. I just
I'll be
wanna,
listening in the background. I just can't get to my computer, but I'm going to mute. Good night, you guys. Good night. Thanks for all your really nice comments.
Yeah, good night.
You're the best.
You've got a lot of fans on here in the comments.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Good night from Fly.
Oh, Fly says good night too. We're eating.
Good night, Fly.
See you guys later.
See ya.
So do you think we should close down? I'm not seeing too much.
Yes, yes. I think, so the Economist article that Kitty posted, Froth asked the question.
Oh yeah, they have been doing that in other cases as well. They claim that he is trying to get people to do things, but that's not the way that he presents it. You know, he basically is just saying that this is the way the world is, and this is what people need to do to solve various problems. He's not telling anyone in particular or telling people to go out and do stuff, right? But it's yes, but they're definitely trying to create that implication. It's the only way they could. They can't make a case, but if they could make a case, it's the way they can get around the First Amendment, right? Yes. Because the limitations on the First Amendment is that you can't incite a riot, for example, right? But they know, I think that they haven't pushed it very hard because they know that they really don't have a case.
Yes. Yes, they're also trying to say that he facilitated some of the leaks. That's what they have to get at, I think.
Yeah, they accused him of doing that, I believe, with Chelsea Manning. And Chelsea has denied it completely. So they got nowhere with that. I'm not aware of them doing it with more recent ones, but I guess it's possible. I don't know everything, so this is where Bella or somebody like that would be excellent.
Yes, I hope she comes on sometime. I don't know.
Well, she wasn't able to. It's the time thing.
Oh,
makes
yes.
I believe she's in the UK, so she it's too rough. It's too hard for her to do it.
Yes.
I mean, I was on the Pirate Party thing. They're in Germany. And I was up at like 3 a.m. just to participate in that. I thought I was going to croak. So the times can be pretty, time zone stuff can be pretty harsh.
Yes, yeah. I mean, maybe we can consider doing different times. Susie was talking about that possibility.
Yeah, that might be something, especially if we're going to do these open mic things again, but by bringing people into Zoom. If we're going to be doing that, then we should for sure do the different time zones, because otherwise we're only going to get people from certain countries, right?
Yes.
And that's not really giving us a global perspective.
That's right, yeah.
But I like the idea of this open mic thing. If we even just did it once a week and, you know, on that day, we rotated the times. That would be actually very cool.
Oh, yes. And people know which day it's going to be.
Yes, exactly.
You know, have their questions ready.
Yeah. And those who want to come into Zoom, you know, they can come in and we can talk.
Yes. Yes. All right. Are you there, Joe? Joe's not there, so.
There is one question about the scaffolding. As far as I know, Frostbeard, it is still there. I haven't heard that it was removed. It's not for cleaning windows. Scaffolding, as far as I know, isn't used for cleaning windows. It's used for painting and for cleaning bricks or replacing bricks. But they haven't done anything like that yet, and it's been there for weeks. So the only thing they've done is wash windows.
So it's pretty obvious. All right. I mean, it's been great. Are there any more questions, do you think, Kitty, or shall we wrap it up?
Frostbeard has another one. Also wondering if there's any info on the jammers and devices aimed at JA. The scaffolding devices are security devices designed for scaffolding, but they're not, they're pointed towards the building instead of the sides and outside, which is apparently normally where they'd be pointed. I think, I'm not positive about that. I'm not an expert in it. All I know for sure is that they are devices that are used as security for scaffolding. That's the only thing I can tell you for sure. Okay, well, it's probably time to say goodnight.
Yes. Hi, there's Joe with the little one. Hi, Joe. Yeah, that'll be great. It's been a really good session. Yeah, Meg was wonderful, and Jose, I mean, he's welcome on here anytime. He brings the situation of what's going on in Ecuador, which is the one country that stood up for Julian, and they're no longer standing up for Julian. So he's got no country standing up for him at the moment. So we're just watching how it falls apart. We're documenting how it falls apart, and getting our voices out there and publicizing the Julian situation and making people conscious of Julian and how important he is and how important WikiLeaks is. And if Julian goes and WikiLeaks goes, as you say, Kitty, everybody else is going to follow. The other journalists are going to follow. And then even people on social media are going to follow, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, they're already starting on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, the censorship on Facebook is outrageous. And
Yes.
Twitter is starting to follow suit as well now.
Yes. George Galloway just posted a tweet today, I think. Did you see that tweet? That he's lost, I think it was 1,500 followers. And
wow.
From who were, they stopped the followers following him. And then they were all complaining to him, hey, we've been removed from your followers for no reason.
Yeah. It's these kinds of things. They're just chipping away, and they're banning, suspending very legitimate people.
Yes.
With massive accounts and massive followings and influence.
Yes. Yeah, so thanks very much for everyone who's watched and everyone who's helped out. Joe's always wonderful. Our stream team, either Joe or Yvonne, and Fly sometimes. And Joe's starting to show some pictures. We've got probably a very nice ending segment. So thanks very much, everyone, and enjoyed the session again today. Good night.
Good night.
In prison, under house arrest, and almost 5 years here in this embassy without sunlight. My children grew up without them. That is not something that I can forgive. It is not something that I can forget. It's something that I hope will be more than just about me. Because the reality is, detention and extradition without charge has become a feature